What's good, everybody? Pete here at Spawn Fly Fish. This is a great time of year. You're walking down the stream or your river, you bump into a little bush or tree hanging over, and all these little caddis flies start to fall out. That's what the fish are eating, that's what we're going to be tying, and that's what you should be tying. Follow along. Alright, so in the vise today we have the Ahrex FW531. This is a size 16 because not all the caddis that we're going to see are going to be monster, jumbos, all that good stuff. Sometimes we need some smaller bugs, especially smaller streams, different parts of the country, all that good stuff, right? Not all the caddis are going to be the same size. So just going to start some thread here, and I know this is a little big, but it'll make sense as we go. We've got some 6/0, and this is the color Camel. Now I'm going to take this thread slightly down the curve here as it starts, just to give myself a nice thread base layer so that it has a little bit better chance of letting this foam grab onto something. I'm not going to glue the base or any of that, but even that thread gives it a little friction, and that helps to hold this foam in place. And now we'll talk about the thread. If I used 8/0 or a small, like tiny thread, it's going to have more of a chance of cutting through the foam as I tie it in, and I don't want to cut my foam. And so as you see, I've trimmed this down to roughly 1/8 inch of a thickness there for that strip. And again, this is just 2 millimeter. I'm not going to 1 mil or any of that. I'm just going to tie in a thinner strip than if I were tying, let's say, size 12 or even size 10, and then get this tied in. By cutting that strip thinner, I'll be able to give a little pressure as I start these wraps, and it'll thin that foam out just enough so that I'm not going to lose any of that hook gap that's in there. And we need all of it, especially as we go down in size on these. So forgive me for a second. Just going to turn that and get that first wrap started, and then this is where I'm just watching that foam, keeping an eye on it, and applying pressure throughout the entire wrap, not just one portion of the wrap, as you see. And so just take your time. On this fourth and final wrap here, I will catch the foam, and this one's maybe a little bit trickier than the others, but once you've got your thread all the way around there, no issue, continue tying down. So solid, good to go. I can get rid of this foam now and turn it back over. So at this point, if there were big chunks of foam left or any of that, now is the time to go ahead and trim those. Not too shabby though. So as you can see, we have left all that working portion of that hook gap and still given this not just a cute little chubby caddis body, but one that's going to help this fly float like crazy. And if you're like me, fishing dry flies is a blast. Great. However, they get tattered, they get chewed on, they get eaten, which is the point. I like the flies that perform even better after they've been chewed on a little while. They get beat up, you throw them out, and the fish just can't refuse them. They eat them. I don't know if it looks like a cripple fly versus a regular healthy adult that's getting ready to launch, and so they think it's an easier meal. All that good stuff comes into play. So that noise you hear is me with the hair stacker. Got some bleached elk in there, and not much. So if you're tying a regular size dry fly, aka 14-12, you're going to be looking at a pencil width of hair that you're cutting off of that hide to begin with. And so for size 16, a little smaller, not going to go nearly as big. About half of that pencil thickness would probably work. So got that hair stacked. I want that hair to extend just past the body, like the natural. If you look at a caddis wing, it's going to go, of course, past that end of the body. And then we're going to take a soft loop around. I'm going to apply pressure on my way back up. And then the next wrap, I'll apply that pressure down. Now I'm just going to eat up this hair as I move my thread wraps back each time. And I'm going back and back and back, really cinching down that hair all the way to where it meets that foam body. Now I can take a couple wraps forward, release that hair, and I know this fly is going to sit properly in the surface and just float like a cork. So now, this point, pretty standard elk hair kind of look. but we're going to jazz it up a little bit since this is the Rocktober. Just happens to be in tan and a lot smaller than normal. So I've got a couple wraps here. I'm going to come back and solidify the wraps I just did. Now it's time for me to get that hair away from the eye so that when we go to fish this, we're not fighting that hook eye and going, man, I can't even get my tippet through there. The eye is clogged. So you see there's a lot of busyness going on right there at the eye. We're going to fix that. I'm going to take one pull back, all the fibers in my off tying hand. I'm going to get my thread in front of that, and now I'm going to make a little bump. And that bump is going to prop that hair upward and then give me some freedom behind it so that I can play with my other materials, get the rest of this fly finished, like so. So at this point, I'm going to come behind that clump now and get into position of getting ready for the next element. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and trim that head. One cut at that angle. It's about all you need. As I look at this though, I want that front to be just a little bit crisper. So I'm going to go ahead and one trim in the front. Let me look at that a little better. There we go. Cute as can be. Nothing to it so far. So, next, got some rubber legs here. And from Hareline, any of the flutter legs, any of that would be great. These, I'm not positive what these are even. Like I have a bag of nondescript legs, and this of course came out of that bag, but whatever legs you have handy will probably work just fine. So there we have a leg tied in on my side. I'm going to do the same thing on your side now. Just going to veil it over the thread, bring it to the body. That'll hold, and now I can position and make sure that it's riding where I want. And I want this rear leg kind of riding right on that line of where the hair and the foam meet. And then that front leg, yes, it's going to replicate the antennae, or sometimes you'll see it referred to as horns, depending on the pattern. But I want these not only coming out to the front, but if they get to that lean down port and they're dipping into the water, they cause all this disturbance in there, drives the trout bonkers, and they one need to come over and check that out because something's trying to get away, and then chances are they're going to go ahead and give it a taste at the same time. And so having all these triggers built in takes a simple elk-hair caddis type fly, and now you've got some more meaning to it as far as I know these trout like a more responsive bug that's bouncing and all these good things. So speaking of the bounce, let's get into this hackle here. This is Rooster saddle from Whiting, silver grade, and it's variant. And as I begin to wrap, you'll see that the base of this feather is pretty dark and it's almost got this dirty look, and I absolutely love it. Very unique. And so we're just going to wrap this, touching wraps all the way up here. And so with these springy fibers coming off of the quill as we wrap, this little caddis is going to bounce and dance like there is no tomorrow. And I can't tell you how many fish I catch on this fly, but it is worth tying it and trying it. So very carefully now, I'm going to trim that quill out. Try not to disturb any of the head fibers of the elk. A couple little ones there. I'm not going to get too cute with anything. I'm going to go right into this whip finish now. I am going to prop that hook eye as I pull down my thread. I don't want to stress that hook, especially while it's in the vise. No bending of the hooks. If that's going to happen, I want it to be because the fish was just so big. There we go. Single whip finish. Again, 6/0 on a tiny dry fly hook. We're not going to have extra room. So once that's pulled tight, I'm just going to guide my scissor down, get a clean cut. So now you can see I've got these little hackle fibers that wanted to stick forward, and now is the time to clean up any of that you need to. Okay, that's good. Let's look at these rear legs just past the body here. So if you look where the rear of the hook sits, coming in just like so. Now, I'm going to bend the leg that's near me forward. I'm going to bend that front leg back and see where they touch, and that's going to give me the mark of where to cut that front leg so that they roughly match. I'm just going to cut both of them in the same time there. This one didn't quite grab, nothing crazy, just give a little extra trim. And now everybody's favorite thing here, let's toss in a little head cement, and it's time to take this guy for a swim. So yes, the Rocktober Caddis was designed as an October caddis, but until we get to the fall, you don't have to just wait. You can just change the color of that body, change the color of the hackle, legs, whatever you want to do to match your local bugs in your local streams and lakes. And by all means, tie it. Be creative. This fly also works very well in olive. You can tie it in gray, black, make it look like a little beetle or a little cricket. All kinds of ways to make this fly work for you. So don't be shy. Get out there, be adventurous, buy some new materials, try some different things on the vise. You never know. You might just hit on the favorite bug. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit like, please hit subscribe, and we will see you guys on the water.